In the beginning, before cities, before kings, before written words carved into stone, there was a time when the world was raw and wild. Mountains burned with living fire, storms roared like angry gods, and above everything, on the shining peak of Mount Olympus, the Titans and Olympian gods ruled the universe with absolute power. Humans were small, weak, and helpless creatures crawling across the earth. They had no fire, no warmth, no protection, no hope, and one god could not bear to watch them suffer. His name was Prometheus. This is not just a myth, this is a story of rebellion, of sacrifice, of unimaginable torture, of a god who defied the King of Heaven and paid a price so cruel that even today his name means suffering for a greater cause. Long before the Olympian gods took power, the world belonged to the Titans. Prometheus was one of them. But he was different. He was not obsessed with control or destruction. He was known as the clever one, the thinker, the planner. His name itself means forethought. When the great war between the Titans and the Olympians began, a violent conflict known as the Titanomachy, Prometheus made a dangerous choice. Instead of fighting with his own Titan brothers, he sided with the Olympians. He believed they would bring a new order to the world. He helped Zeus win the war. And when Zeus became king of the gods, ruler of Mount Olympus, Prometheus expected fairness. He was wrong. After the war, Zeus began shaping the new world. Humans had been created, weak creatures made from clay. Some stories say Prometheus himself molded them, shaping their fragile bodies with care and hope. He wanted them to survive. He wanted them to rise. But Zeus saw humans differently. To Zeus, humans were insignificant. They were meant to obey, to fear, to suffer. Zeus decided they would live without fire, without the sacred flame of the gods. Humans were doomed to freeze in winter darkness. They could not cook food. They could not build metal tools. They could not defend themselves. They lived in caves, trembling and helpless. Prometheus watched this suffering. He saw children crying in the cold. He saw families huddled in darkness. He saw humanity struggling to survive against wild animals and merciless storms. And something inside him burned stronger than any flame: compassion. Prometheus approached Zeus and argued that humans deserved fire, that they needed it to grow and thrive. But Zeus refused. Fire was divine power. Fire meant knowledge. Fire meant strength. And Zeus did not trust humans with strength. But Prometheus did not accept this decision. One night, while Mount Olympus slept beneath the stars, Prometheus made his choice. He climbed to the heavens. He approached the chariot of the sun, and from the blazing fire of the gods, he stole a spark. He hid it inside a hollow fennel stalk so the flame would not be seen, and then he carried it down to earth. He gave fire to humanity. The moment humans felt its warmth, everything changed. They learned to cook. They forged tools from metal. They created light in darkness. They became stronger, smarter, braver. Prometheus had given them more than fire. He had given them progress. When Zeus discovered what had happened, his fury shook the heavens. Thunder crashed. Lightning split the sky. The king of the gods had been betrayed, and not by a mortal, by a titan he once trusted. Zeus could not allow this rebellion to go unpunished. If a god could defy him without consequences, his authority would crumble. The punishment had to be unforgettable, eternal, a warning to anyone who dared challenge him. Zeus ordered Prometheus to be captured. He was dragged to the farthest edge of the world, to the jagged peaks of the Caucasus Mountains. There, in the freezing winds, Zeus commanded that Prometheus be chained to a massive rock. Not ordinary chains. These were unbreakable chains forged by divine hands. Prometheus was immortal. He could not die. And that was the point. Every day, Zeus sent a monstrous eagle. Some say it was his sacred bird, to tear open Prometheus's body. The eagle would rip into his side and devour his liver. The pain was unbearable. agony beyond imagination. But because Prometheus was immortal, his liver would grow back each night, and each morning the eagle would return. Again and again and again. This was not a punishment for days, not for years, for eternity. Imagine the horror, bound to a rock, unable to move, feeling claws tear into your flesh every single day, knowing it will never end, knowing your suffering is the price of helping others. The mountains echoed with his screams. Yet Prometheus did not beg. He did not apologize. He did not regret giving fire to humanity. Zeus thought the torture would break him, but Prometheus held on to something stronger than pain. He held on to knowledge, a secret, a prophecy that Zeus did not know. Prometheus possessed the gift of foresight. He knew something about Zeus's future. He knew that one day Zeus would face danger from his own blood, that a child would rise to challenge him, just as Zeus once challenged his father, Cronus. Zeus needed that information, and Prometheus knew it. So even as the eagle tore at his flesh, Prometheus remained silent. Meanwhile, Zeus decided to punish humanity too. If Prometheus loved humans so much, then humans would suffer. Zeus ordered the creation of the first woman. Her name was Pandora. She was beautiful beyond imagination, crafted by the gods themselves, but she carried with her a sealed jar, often called a box, filled with every misery known to existence: sickness, hunger, pain, jealousy, death. She was sent to Earth. When the jar was opened, all those evils escaped into the world. Only one thing remained inside: hope. Humanity now had fire, but they also had suffering. This was Zeus's cruel balance. Years passed, decades, centuries. Prometheus remained chained. The eagle never failed. Each sunrise meant new agony. Travelers passing near the mountains whispered of the screaming titan. Some pitied him, some feared him, but none could free him. The chains were too strong. The punishment was divine. Yet fate was not finished. Generations later, a hero was born, a demigod with incredible strength, the son of Zeus himself. His name was Heracles, known to the Romans as Hercules. During his famous 12 labors, Heracles journeyed across the world, battling monsters and completing impossible tasks. One of his travels brought him to the Caucasus Mountains. There, he heard something terrifying, a scream that did not sound human. He climbed higher, and he saw the chained titan, broken but unbowed, flesh torn, blood dried on ancient rock, and the monstrous eagle descending once more. Without hesitation, Heracles drew his bow. He fired a single arrow. The arrow struck true. The eagle fell from the sky. For the first time in ages, the sky above Prometheus was silent. Heracles approached the titan. He recognized the injustice, and with Zeus's eventual permission, because even Zeus had grown tired of the endless punishment, Prometheus was finally freed. But freedom came with a condition. Prometheus had to wear a ring made from the rock of his prison, set with a piece of the chain, a reminder that he had once defied the king of gods, a symbol that even in freedom he carried his punishment. Still, he was no longer bound to the mountain. He was free, but the scars remained. The story of Prometheus is not just about torture. It is about power, about rebellion, about what happens when compassion challenges authority. Zeus ruled with fear. Prometheus acted with empathy. Fire became more than flame. It became a symbol, the spark of knowledge, the beginning of civilization, the courage to question those in power. Prometheus knew the cost. He understood that defying Zeus would bring consequences. Yet he chose humanity anyway. And that is why his story survived thousands of years. In ancient Greece, philosophers saw Prometheus as a symbol of human intelligence. Artists painted him as a tragic hero. Writers described him as the first rebel against tyranny. Even today, when someone suffers for standing up for others, we call it a Promethean sacrifice. But imagine it from his perspective. The endless pain, the isolation, the certainty that your suffering will never end. Would you still make the same choice? Would you still steal the fire? The cruel punishment of Prometheus was meant to crush hope, to show that no one, not even a titan, could challenge Zeus without paying a terrible price. Yet it did the opposite. His suffering inspired courage. His chains became a symbol of resistance. His agony became a story told through centuries. In the end, Zeus remained king of the gods. Olympus still stood tall. Thunder still rolled across the sky. But humans had fire. They built cities. They forged weapons. They created art. They explored the stars. They learned to think beyond fear. And every time a flame flickers in darkness, it carries a whisper of Prometheus, the titan who was tortured, the god who suffered, the rebel who gave humanity its greatest gift. This is why his story still burns today, not as a tale of defeat, but as a reminder that sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones who endure the deepest pain for the sake of others. Prometheus did not fight with swords. He did not conquer kingdoms. He gave light. And for that light, he endured darkness beyond imagination. That is the cruel punishment of Prometheus, tortured for helping humans, and remembered forever because he did.